Hey everyone, welcome back. So today's Tuesday. We got some news on the CPI data came out today, so the markets really enjoyed that. Bitcoin, Ethereum were way up today, nicely, but they did pull back a little bit towards the end of the day. Markets were also up today, so we'll look at all that. We'll take a look at the miners as well. We had Argo, Greenidge, Marathon, Iris Energy, and Soluna reach new 52-week lows, even though they kind of went up this morning, but then they pulled back down some more. Some of them, not everybody. We'll look at all those. Then we got Sam Bankman-Fried, U.S. charges 8 counts of fraud, other things, wire transfer, things like that. We'll take a look at all that. Then we got also Binance, 500 million in 24 hours since it left the exchange. There's some FUD going on there as well. We'll take a look at it. And then we have Iris Energy. We got a class action lawsuit against them, and we also have November production updates, which is really confusing. So we'll go over it, and hopefully you guys can maybe provide some info as well. Okay. And then I think that is it. Yep. So as always, non-financial advice. You guys know the drill here. I'm invested in farming coins and companies. This is for entertainment only. Please always do your own research. Now, if you guys enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously, okay? And let's take a look at the markets here while I get this prepared here, which I should have had prepared, but I don't. Let me see here, where am I at? So I need this one first, that one second, that one third. Okay, I'm sorry, I should have had this ready before I got going here. But nonetheless, we are here. And why did I go over to that one? Okay, there we go. Okay, sorry for the delay. Let's take a look at the markets here. So the markets were up. S&P was up 0.73% today to 4,019. Dow Jones was up 0.3% to 34,108. And the NASDAQ was up 1.09% to 11,834. Bitcoin was up also quite nicely today. It was on the daily chart. It was up 3.26% to a close of 17,773. We hit a high of 17,999.99. We were right there to get 18,000, but we just couldn't muster the strength to get over that. Right now, we had a low of 17,089, which was early in the day, and then we closed, like I said, at 17,773. Right now we are at 17,812, so we are looking okay there. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we can see, well, RSI is way up there right now. Last time we were on the RSI, this high was roughly back here. Price at that point was lower, so we're looking good on the 4-hour chart. 1-hour chart is also RSI has come down a little bit. We were way above 80 on it. We are at 72 right now, 71. Last time we were right around here was at 17,200. So we have gone up in price while the RSI is at the same point level. So that's good there. Okay, so we are looking a little bit more bullish on that time frame. Looking at Ethereum. Ethereum also was up nicely today. Ethereum, there we go. Let's take a look at the daily chart. So on the day, it was up 3.51% to the close of 1,320. We hit a low of 1,255 and a high of 1,351. So a good day for Ethereum as well. Now let's take a look at the miners here really quick. Any was down 0.79% on the day. Actually, I want to look at these on the 1-hour chart. I want to show you guys something on a couple of these. So 35 cents for any. Argo was way down today, 41.56%. Looks like trading has resumed on them. And we covered Argo yesterday with everything that's going on with them. Not surprising that the stock is down quite a bit today. Bit Digital was up 1.17% to 74.5 cents. And let's see here. You can see how in the morning when everything was pumping pretty hard, the miners did go up quite nicely. And then throughout the day, they seem to have gone down. And I think you can see that on the majority of these. Bitfarms was up 7.57% today to 54 cents. You can see it pumped up, went down, and this one actually rebounded again. CleanSpark, on the other hand, went nicely up today, but it just couldn't hold that position and it fell back down. So it was down 2.61% to $2.24. It reached a high of $2.50 today before pulling back down. I'm guessing this was just profit taking. If you look at CleanSpark over here, let's see here. From Wednesday, the 7th of December, we have gone up in price of approximately, let's see here, 23% in, what is that? Well, that's on the hour chart. So that's roughly a couple days, 5 days, we've gone up 23%. I mean, even higher if you go up to here, we were up 26%. So I can see possibly some profit taking on that one. Cores was up 11.34% to 14 cents. DigiHost was up 6.25 to 51 cents. You got DMG was down 0.26% to 15 cents. Greenidge was down 9.03% to 44 cents. Hive was up 2.63% today to $1.95. It was at almost $2.14 at around 8:30 at the open. So things opened up a lot higher for most of these miners, and then they just started trading down. I'm guessing it's profit taking. I can't think of anything else that would have contributed to it, especially since the markets were up, Bitcoin was up, everything else was up. HUT was also up 2.97% to $1.04. It was at a high also today of about $1.13. Then we got Iris Energy was down 4.26% to $1.35. Luxfolio was up 2.86 to, well, less than a penny still. Marathon was down 8.09% today to $4.66. It was up to almost $5.60, and then it just started falling back down here, which was surprising as well. I'm not sure why. I mean, we haven't had any huge gains in it other than maybe from here. Let's take a look at what is that. That is from here to up here. We had a 13% gain. So maybe that contributed to people selling, and maybe some of the concerns with Marathon as well contributed to that. Lawson was down 3.45% to 28 cents. Riot was down 2.4% to $4.07 as well. Same thing here. You can see they started out way higher at $4.62, and then they lost almost, what is that, 54 cents or something like that during the day. They ended up much lower. And but this one, there wasn't that much of a price appreciation in the last. From the bottom here of yesterday to the top of today, we were up only, well, we were up quite a bit, 13%. So maybe profit sharing, or not profit sharing, but profit taking a little bit. Soluna was down 1.15% to 42 cents. Stronghold was down 4.77%, or down, was up 4.77% to 51 cents. And TerraWolf was down today 13.16% to 69 cents, almost 70 cents. And do I have it on here? Yep. And then we got the two ETFs. WGMI was down towards the end of the day at $5.10, and RIGS was down 1.74% to $4.46, which is surprising considering that the miners were going up and Bitcoin was going up. So that's a little weird. Okay. Next, let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick. Let's reload this page. And it has come down a little bit here on the 7-day, 260 million compared to our recent peak of 264. So it's come down a little bit. Let's take a look at the 1-day chart, and that one's coming back up to 280 million. We're still not at the previous peak of 282, but we are getting close to it. So we'll keep an eye on that one, see how that one plays out. Okay, first story is U.S. charges Sam Bankman-Fried with 8 counts of wire fraud, securities fraud, and conspiracy. So the Justice Department is charging former FTX CEO and founder Sam Bankman-Fried with 8 different counts of wire fraud, securities fraud, and conspiracy, according to an indictment unsealed Tuesday morning. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but we didn't know what the charges were at that time. So the indictment alleges the 30-year-old and others, known and unknown, devised a scheme to defraud FTX.com customers by misappropriating their deposits to pay expenses and debts owed by trading firm Alameda Research. That's not good. Like I said yesterday, they're probably going to throw the book at him, make an example out of him. And according to the unsealed indictment, the DOJ alleges that between June 2022 and November 2022, Bankman-Fried and others willingly and knowingly did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree together with each other to commit wire fraud. So that's definitely not good. The fraudulent charges also include using customer deposits to purchase commodities, securities, and property with customer deposits, as well as using them for political contributions in federal elections and through other donations in the names of other persons that exceed corporate contributions. So they're, stacking things on top of one another. The indictment calls for the forfeiture of any and all property derived from the proceeds from the stated offenses. There was some stories floating around that he has over $200 million worth of properties in Bahamas, but I read that not the collectors, I can't think of the word right now, but they're looking to leave those out of the liquidation process, possibly. I don't think that's fair. I think they should do it. And then earlier Tuesday morning, the Securities and Exchange Commission filed charges against Sam Bankman-Fried, alleging the 30-year-old disgraced founder of FTX orchestrated a scheme to defraud the company's equity investors. So you got the SEC also getting involved on that. We allege that Sam Bankman-Fried built a house of cards on a foundation of deception while telling investors that it was one of the safest buildings in crypto. SEC Chair Gary Gensler said in a release. Then we have, according to the SEC's complaint, Bankman-Fried defrauded equity investors out of more than $1.8 billion, including $1.1 billion from 90 U.S.-based investors. That's a lot. The CFTC also charged FTX and Bankman-Fried with fraud and making material misrepresentations in connection with the sale of digital commodities and interstate commerce. So like I said, they're getting everything that they can on him. And then unbeknownst to those investors and the FTX trading customers, Bankman-Fried was orchestrating a massive years-long fraud, diverting billions of dollars of the trading platform's customers' funds from his own personal benefit and to help grow his crypto empire, the SEC's indictment states. So, and this is actually kind of interesting here. The FTX Group spending binge, starting in the late 2021, FTX Group spent more than $5 billion on businesses and other investments. Many may be worth a fraction of what was originally paid, according to testimony by FTX's new CEO. And you can check this out. It's on Yahoo Finance website. It's kind of interesting of all the stuff that they invested in here. And I think that is it on it. Yeah. So he's going to get, unfortunately, what is well deserved, possibly a lot of jail time for this. And unfortunately, it's not going to make the customers of FTX, the creditors, I don't think it's going to make them completely whole on this, but we'll see how that's going to play out. And hopefully they can at least recoup some of it. So best of luck to everyone out there that was on FTX. And let's take a look at Binance here. So Binance Exchange daily BTC withdrawals top 500 million as CZ says FUD helps us grow. So Bitcoin withdrawals surge as Bitcoin recovers from a media storm and subsequently accusations of suspicious activity. So going down here, what is that activity possibly? Bitcoin withdrawals from largest crypto exchange Binance have passed 500 million in the last 24 hours as the CEO calls out FUD. Data from on-chain monitoring resource CoinGlass shows that Binance's BTC balance decreased by over 30,000 BTC in December 13th. That's a lot. That's also a good thing, right? I've always said, get your coins off the exchanges, put them into your hardware wallets, whatever you have, get them off of there. You just never know. So the abnormal behavior comes as Binance battles what its CEO, CZ, also known as blanketed as FUD on social media. As Cointelegraph reported, nerves initially became frayed after a report in Reuters suggested that the exchange would become a target of United States money laundering lawsuit. That obviously freaked people out. And then they started pulling out their coins, which is good. CZ denied this, sharing a statement from Binance refuting the report's claims. Thereafter, however, reports of major token withdrawals by Justin Sun, CEO and founder of Tron, exacerbated the tensions. Despite CZ's likewise taking critics to task and Sun performing a $100 million deposit back to Binance, users were quick to remove their own funds from their accounts. A temporary suspension of certain withdrawals of Binance's stablecoin BUSD were ongoing at the time of writing, so there's a lot of trading going on there. And this event mimics those from earlier in the FTX debacle when exchange users en masse took custody of their funds. At that time, however, Binance's BTC balance actually increased. So what was happening here was people that were able to get into FTX were moving in from FTX to Binance, and then you can see this huge increase here in the funds of BTC that was held by Binance. So that's normal there. And then you're seeing a huge drop off here. I think we're going to probably get a lot more happening here within the next couple of days, possibly where you're getting more funds taken out. So as always, keep your Bitcoins, other coins off the exchanges if you can. Use a hardware wallet like Ledger. I've been using them for 2 years. So if you're interested in buying something like that, there's a link down in the description. I get a little commission if you guys do use it. If not, just go to ledger.com and do it that way. Or if you'd like to support me, use the link. Okay. That is all of that. And let's take a look at crypto miner Iris Energy and their class action lawsuit. So this is not good news for Iris Energy. So the suit was filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of New Jersey. The suit alleges that Iris Energy has repeatedly given out material false information and misled investors, starting with the documentation for the firm's 2021 initial public offering. Those documents were negligently prepared and failed to disclose certain of the mining machines owned through its non-recourse SPVs, special purpose vehicles, were unlikely to produce sufficient cash flow to service their respective debt financing obligations. Okay, so in defense of Iris, I don't know, I haven't looked at all the terminology and all the wording in that document there, but this was back in 2021. Nobody in their right mind knew that this was going to happen to be a pretty painful bear market that we've seen so far this year, with Bitcoin coming down way in price, with now our cash rate continuing to go up. It was just a perfect storm for things to not work out. They could have maybe stayed in there if they haven't. We can't guarantee this kind of results or something like that. But it's also on the investors, I think, to do their due diligence and continue to do their due diligence, continuing while investing in companies. So I can sympathize with the investors, but it's also you're investing in companies that could go bankrupt, right? No amount of wording is going to be able to prepare you for what might happen in the future, especially a year out, whenever this was published, a year and a half out. So, you kind of got to be prepared for this, I guess. And I just don't like lawsuits in general. Okay? I'm against them. I think people are, for the most part, smart enough to know what they're getting themselves into. And if you don't, you probably shouldn't be investing. Okay, continuing on here, Iris Energy continued to mislead investors throughout 2022 as its shares were traded on the NASDAQ. The miner downplayed the severity of its debt and sought to assure investors by playing up its strategy of operational efficiency and securing additional financing, the suit said. So with these SPVs, they are kind of strange, but they had no recourse on the company itself. These were separate from the company, so creditors could not go after them if they defaulted on those miners. In a way, it was a good way to do it, but it also, you could say, was a little shady, maybe, I guess, depending how you want to look at it. But it did protect the company from the debt that was owed on those special purpose vehicles. They weren't backed by any of the company holdings or anything like that. Those were just on those miners themselves. So as we had a perfect storm happening with Bitcoin coming down in price, hash rate going up, these machines, and depending on what the price they were paying for electricity, which doesn't seem to be like it was that high, they were right around 4.5, 5 cents, it looks like. They were generating enough to pay for the electricity and a little bit extra, but it wasn't enough to cover the debt financing on it, which is why they went into default on those. Okay. However, some of the companies procured hardware was unlikely to produce enough cash to service the associated debt. So Iris Energy's debt was not as sustainable as presented, which would in turn have a material effect on the company's operations and financials. Yes, but like I said, it's kind of hard to figure out where things are going to be a year and a half out, especially with Bitcoin. So I don't know how to say this. I guess I'm not blaming them for this, because a lot of companies are having a hard time right now. Argo, Marathon, Core, they're all having these kind of issues where, things have taken the turn for the worst and they're dealing with it as best they can. Okay. On November 2nd, Iris Energy revealed that it was in discussions to restructure over $100 million of equipment loans because the machines in question did not produce enough cash to service their debt, which is kind of what we talked about. They were able to pay off the electricity for it, some operational things, and just didn't have enough left over to pay for the debt on it. The firm later received default notices on the debt, admitting that the mining machines will likely be seized by the lender, which is what happened, and we lost 3.6 exahash because of it. So now on November 18th, Iris had to unplug the related equipment that took out 3.6 exahash of computing power offline, bringing Iron's average hash rate to 1.4 in November, but this might be actually lower, and we'll look at the numbers here in a minute. But it's confusing in the report there. There's a lot of stuff going on. We'll get into it. Next, because the debt was held by non-recourse SPVs, Iris's co-founder and co-CEO Dan Roberts has reportedly argued that it is incorrect to say that the miner defaulted on its obligations. The way he's looking at it is they were separate from the company itself. They were these non-recourse SPVs, so they had no recourse towards the company. That's why he's kind of alleging that as it is, or arguing that point of view. And then in its latest monthly update released on Tuesday, Iris Energy said it is considering selling 0.4 exahash of machines, so about 400 petahash. That would be, 4,000 machines roughly. And we'll take a look at it. It wasn't very clear in the report as well. So This is obviously not good. This is going to tie them up. It's going to use up their resources as well with attorneys and things like that. And I'm not in favor of lawsuits or class action lawsuits in general, unless it was specifically harm to the individuals or something like that. Then I can see that being done. But when you're investing in companies like this and other companies, I think you got to take it that things may not work out and things may go south and you may end up losing your money. So I'd be curious to see who is actually part of this class action lawsuit, if it's investors or if it's like these big institutions, possibly. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so that's that. That's not good news for them. And then here is their monthly update for November. And we'll look at my numbers here that I have for them as well. And we'll get into it here. So average operating hash rate was 1.4 exahash. That's what they're reporting, which is fine. They were a little bit higher probably beginning of the month, and then they had to shut off the other miners, and then that knocked them down. So their average is here, 1.4, but down below they're stating about 1.1 currently at December 12th. Bitcoin mine was 151. That's fine. Also, electricity cost per Bitcoin was 12.5 thousand, which is pretty high. They're saying adjusted it's 10.1 thousand per Bitcoin. And we'll look at that adjustment here down below. There's a lot of stuff to go through. Liquidity as of the month end, 47 million cash, no debt. 21 million estimated net capex spend to achieve 180 megawatts. 75 million remaining Bitmain prepayments, so that's good there. 100 million unutilized under B. Riley's equity facility, so they do have some money that they can use possibly. This would be, I believe, dilutive to the shareholders through this one. And then potential monetization of assets through miner sales, 2.4 exahash down to 2 exahash. So are they looking to sell a total of 2.4, where 0.4 is possibly being worked on right now as a sale? It's kind of weird in the wording that they're using here. Okay, going down here. Then opportunities focus on expanding self-mining capacity to 5.4. Potential additional expansion from 20 megawatts to 600 megawatts at Childress. Okay, so they are still thinking about expanding. Then here's their operations average. We already covered that, 1.4. Monthly operating revenue, 2.9. That seems a bit high. I wonder if that's also including any hosting that they did for anybody, because I got it much lower than that. And we'll look at that down below also. That's why I'm saying these numbers are kind of weird. And then 151 BTC mined for November. There was a decrease of 66% versus October. Okay. And they go into here talking about it. Primarily reflects termination of hosting arrangements during the month in connection with a certain of the group's limited recourse equipment financing facilities following receipt of an accelerated notice from relevant lender under such facilities. Okay, so that's kind of what they're talking about there. Then they have their sites, corporate updates, same thing. It's being repeated again here, hashed out. What else do we have here? Canal Flats, where are they at right now? So, okay, so they're saying Canal Flats is 570 petahash right now. The projected achieved average monthly operating hash rate, 570. And we got 268 here at Mackenzie, and Prince George was 607. So you combine all that, you get 1445 exahash. Update, let me see, where was it? Community, don't care about that. Going down here. Okay, so the increase in the company's unadjusted electricity cost per Bitcoin mined, 12.6K versus 10.2K adjusted versus 9.3 in October, was primarily driven by excess demand charge attributable to average unutilized power capacity due to termination of relevant hosting arrangements as described above, as well as an increase in the average difficulty implied global hash rate during the period. Okay, that the average difficulty in the network has no effect on the price they're paying for their miners. So that should have been not even included in here, I think. Now, this part about unutilized power capacity, since that has come down, are they going to be getting charged that every month now because they are way down in megawatt drawn compared to what they had, right? They were approximately 4.7 exahash when it all happened, I think, or close to that, or even higher than that. But now they're getting charged 12.6, which is quite a bit higher than the 10.2. But we'll have to see what comes next month, or this month, December, that we're in, once we get that information in January. But I would think it would still be up higher because they are not using their unutilized power capacity is not being used up. So I think that maybe they're getting charged for it or dinged for it. Okay, going down here, revenue per Bitcoin. I don't know where they're getting these numbers here. 19,000 per Bitcoin in September, 19,591 in October, and 18,955 in November. Where are they getting these numbers from? I would be interested to know, because as we know, Bitcoin right now in November was around, what was it, 17,000, I think. Let's take a look at the numbers that I have for it. For November, we had it at 17,000 or 17,600. October, okay, it was 19,650 on average. September was 19.8, so 19.8, 19.6, 19. So they're even using lower numbers here, pretty close to those numbers there, but November is way off. So I don't know where they're getting that number from on the average. I don't even think we reached 18, almost 19,000 in November anytime soon. So that's a little weird there. Going down here, oh, there's a lot of stuff that I had to go through to find all this stuff. And where was it? I know, here it is. Okay, so number 7 here. So this is comprises of 1.1 exahash of miners in operation as of December 12th. So are they at 1.1 exahash right now? Is kind of what I'm getting at. They're using the average number above at 1.445, but it seems like they're stating that they are at 1.1 exahash right now, which is a decline of another 300 some petahash. And then this includes 2.2 exahash of miners securing the facility with the company's third limited recourse equipment financing facility, in respect of which the company has received a notice of acceleration as described in the company's report form 6K filed on November 21st, and 0.9 exahash of miners in transit and or pending deployment. So I'm a little confused by that one there. 0.9 exahash of miners in transit or pending deployment. You got 1.1 here of miners in operation. Miners in operation, I would think those are miners that are plugged in right now. If you have that, and then why would you have 0.9 in transit or pending deployment? That doesn't make any sense. The company is currently finalizing monetization transactions with respect to 4 exahash, 0.4 exahash of miners which are in transit or pending deployment. Well, which is it? Are they in transit or are they pending deployment? If they're pending deployment, they should be at your facility already. Like I said, this is kind of confusing. There can be no assurance as to the timing or terms of any such transaction or whether any such transaction will be consummated at all. Oh, I can't speak. So this is really confusing. Are they at 1.1? Are they at 0.2 right now with 0.9 being in transit or pending? I just don't know. Hopefully we'll get some clarification in next month numbers. We'll see if they come in at 0.2. If they come in at under 1 exahash for the average, we know that they didn't get the 0.9. So currently I have them at the 1.45 exahash, which is what they reported as the average. And then we'll take a look at the numbers I have here. So like I said, not a lot of great stuff happening here for Iris. The lawsuit obviously is not good. And then the numbers here are just all over the place, which doesn't make any sense. So what the heck is going on? Okay, let's take a look at the numbers I have. We'll try to make some sense of it if we can. Okay, let's take a look at Iris. Here it is. So 54.9 million shares out. Stock price about $1.35. Market cap 74 million. Current hash rate, I have them at 1.4. Future hash rate 1.4. I don't know where they're going to be yet. Everything's gotten so jumbled up with all these SPVs. They're saying that they're going to be possibly at 5 exahashes where they're trying to get to. Don't know that. So we'll leave it as is, and then we'll update the numbers down below as they get provided to us. Now, BTC Mined, they have been doing a great job here for the most of the year, growing quite nicely. Had a nice jump in August, September, and October, and then November happened, and then 151. So that's definitely not good, okay? BTC per exahash has been coming down as well. They started out 156 in the beginning of the year. They were kind of up and down a little bit here throughout the year, and I think their best month was January, looks like, followed by March, and then in August, and then things went south here in September, October, November, and I'm guessing December is going to be even worse, depending where they end up with their hash rate. Okay, so they reported about 2.9 million in revenue for the month. I have them at 2.657 million, based on 151 Bitcoins mined, average Bitcoin price of, what was it, 17,000 I think we used in November. Yeah, 17,600. That's kind of where we are at right now for the average price of where it started, where it was. And we're using that number. So they were reporting 19,000 something, which is way off. We have a 2.6 million roughly. It is a decrease of 297 Bitcoins mined from the previous month in October. And then it's also a 66% decrease from that as well. We know that they sell pretty much everything that they mine, so we don't have anything sold here. They pretty much sold everything that they mined. Okay, now looking at the numbers here in November, I wonder if I did this even. 2.65, did I get it to 2.65? I got a 2.8, so I think some of the miners here might have been off for a little bit. 2.8, let's just bring these down to 28 days. Let's see where we end up at really quick. 2. Yeah, it might be even less than that, 28 days. So they might have done some curtailment or not, or some of these miners might not have been operating at that time. 2.65, and that is, what do we have that? 2.62. So we're pretty close to that. So around 28 days of mining. And we have just these miners here. The other miners were turned off that were approximately 3.6 exahash has been reduced from that. And then we'll see how the numbers stack up in December, if they're actually down to 1.1 exahash or lower than that in December. So it might not be a good month for them. Now, institution-wise, institutions did decrease a little bit here to 42. Shares also decreased to 12.03 million, and percentage owned decreased to 21.89. Now, strong buy rating is still at 2. We have 1 buy rating, and now we have 4 hold ratings, compared to 2 strong, 3 buys, and 2 holds. And price targets are $14, $6.80, and $3. So average and low has come down from the prior months as well. Okay, now looking at the numbers here. These numbers are going to be a little tricky here because they were growing in revenue, or at least, being around 14.6, 13 million, or 15 million and 17 million here in June. September, I'm guessing for the quarter they were around 15.7. We'll see where they actually come in at. That's kind of where I was guessing that they would be at estimating. December is going to be 14, but if they are only generating 2.6 or close to 2.8, that's only, what is that going to be, 7.8, 8.2 million a quarter right now. That's a huge decrease. That's half of that. So I wouldn't expect it to be up much higher. I would say there would be probably a good PE of around 10 maybe, possibly, if Bitcoin starts going up in value. And then we're looking at $6.19 to $9.29 potentially on that one. But we just need a lot more clarification on these guys. Okay? All right. That is it. We'll see what happens tomorrow. CPI data also came in at 7.1. I forgot to mention that in the beginning, or I might have mentioned it already now. But I've been talking here for over a half hour, I'm guessing, somewhere. So that is good news. It obviously helped the markets out a little bit. Also, you got to remember that whatever happens with FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, is not indicative of Bitcoin. Bitcoin itself is still functioning, right? You had some bad players in the market. Those players are going to do their time. And hopefully others will learn from this not to do that. So, we've had Mt. Gox before. That was pretty bad, not as bad. I don't know if it was as bad as this. Mt. Gox had a lot more market share at that time than FTX did. I think FTX had 8-10% of the market share, so it wasn't that bad, but still substantial. So once we get through this and we get some regulations in place, I think things will start looking a little bit better than the way they are right now. Right? It's always worse. It's always darkest before it gets before night, or whatever the saying is. I can't remember. So we got that happening. We also have the Fed tomorrow. They're going to provide us with either 50 basis points or 75 basis points. I think we're going to get 50 basis points, but we'll see. I think the market's pricing in 50 basis points as well. And what else do we have? We still have a couple miners that haven't provided us with their November updates. Core Scientific is one of them. Like to see their numbers as well. And what else do we have going on? I think that is it. Yeah, Binance Energy, not in very good shape right now. It was one of those companies that I was thinking about investing in. Luckily, I held off. I was still investing in Bitfarms and CleanSpark, dollar cost averaging into those guys. I wanted to get my dollar cost average down. Never got around to getting into Iris Energy, so I'm thankful for that with everything that has happened to them. But if they start getting out of this, depending where they're going to be growing and everything else, if they start providing actual good numbers, it might, we'll have to revisit that thought again in a future date. What else? I think that's it. I'm rambling on here. So Spreadsheet, as always, available to my Patreon members. Thank you to everyone there for their continued support. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great night. Bye.